Hey 12s, welcome in. The 2024 NFL Draft has just concluded, and so I'm going to break down all of the picks that the Hawks made. This was the first year under John Schneider where he had full personnel control and with Mike McDonald, so I think this was a really fascinating draft, and so let's jump in. First off, we had Byron Murphy. This was a easy A grade. I mean, the value is just absurd. He is easily a top 10 player, at least for me. And I think he's also a really good scheme fit. You can criticize the need a little bit because we didn't really need another defensive tackle. But I think long term, when you look at it, this is one of those positions where I was really excited when they added to it. So I don't think it was a pressing need, but I do think from a long term perspective, this was a pretty big need. And the value in the fit is just way too good. So I love this pick. This is an easy A. That was at pick 16. I didn't think he would get there. So Byron Murphy, that is an easy A. Next up, we have Christian Haynes at round 3, pick 81. Christian Haynes was my favorite pick that the Hawks made in the draft, and I honestly think he's probably one of the biggest steals in the draft. He is an incredible value. I think a lot of people had this guy as a top 50 player and one of the best pure guards in the class. So to get him at pick 81 is just fantastic. And from a fit perspective, this is exactly who Ryan Grubb wants. He wants someone that is really good at pulling and is very flexible. Haynes is a really good athlete, and I just love, whenever you watch his tape, which, by the way, there is links to places where you can watch the tape. I'm not going to post it on my channel here, but you can go watch on other people's channels. They have all these different great cut-ups, and Christian Haynes is amazing when he's pulling, so I love Ryan Grubb is going to get him in space. He's going to use him the right way. I think this is going to be a really good guard, maybe a better guard than the Hawks have had in a long time. I think this is an upgrade over Damian Lewis, right? And so this is going to be really exciting, and this was the biggest need, right? The Seahawks desperately needed a guard, so getting one in the 3rd round, I mean, yeah, you can just call this lucky because honestly, he should not have been there, but this is a fantastic pick, and so this is an easy A+ for me. All right, next up in the 4th round at pick 118, the Seahawks got Tyrese Knight. Knight is a linebacker out of UTEP, and I think everyone was kind of all over the board. So that's why I have the value graded out as a C. A lot of people really liked this player, right? It's a lower level of competition, so it's a little bit harder to grade him. But per PFF, he had the most run stops in the nation, so that's great. If you watch his film, he is a run-stopping linebacker. I don't know how much he brings in coverage, but from a run-stopping perspective, I think that this is a really good pick, and I think that you can hopefully teach or scheme around some of his pass coverage deficiencies. I don't really think it's anything physical, so I do think that you can probably just coach that up. I really wanted the Hawks to take a developmental linebacker, and this is what Tyrese Knight is. So I really like this pick. Again, it's not exactly what I would have done. I really liked the film of Jeremiah Trotter. But whenever you're talking about a developmental linebacker, I think that who they are as a person, right? The Seahawks had a top 30 visit with this guy. I think that is far more important than whatever they put on tape in college. Because honestly, what they did in college doesn't translate that well to the NFL. So I do think this is a really good pick. I give it a B+. Again, I really wanted them to make a developmental linebacker pick, and this is exactly what that fills. So I'm going to give this a B+. The next pick was AJ Barner out of Michigan. Barner is a really fun player. He's a run blocker. I've heard him described as another offensive tackle because that's how good he was at run blocking. This is pretty simple, right? The value's pretty decent. The fit is pretty decent, right? We did need a 3rd tight end in here. And I think getting someone who really specializes in run blocking, I know that's also Pharaoh Brown's calling card. But AJ Barner is going to be this, powerful run blocking tight end for years to come. Great. I love that in the 4th round. So I'm just going to give that a solid B. That's a good pick. All right, next up we have Nehemiah Pritchett. I'm going to give this a B overall. I think the value is pretty good and the fit is pretty good. Again, a cornerback, we didn't really need a corner. I do think that, because I'm going to get to DJ James, Pritchett's teammate, later, I do think that the Hawks might be moving on from someone like a Mike Jackson. Just with all these corners that they drafted. That corner room is pretty full right now. But I'm really excited about Pritchett. I think that, he's an undersized guy. But if you watch his film, he's got some really good quick reaction. That's really what impressed me the most. So if you're sitting in Mike Macdonald's coverages where you're kind of playing off and he wants you to click and close coming downhill, I think that's what Pritchett is going to be able to do. So I really like this pick. Pritchett, I'm going to give it a B. Right, we didn't really need it, but I do think the value is pretty good and the fit is really nice. All right, next up we have Satoa Leuma. I'm going to give this a B+, right? This is someone who's going to play guard. He played tackle in college. I think just solid value. And again, with these late round picks, right, there's not, unless it's an absolute steal, we're mostly just talking about the process. And for me, bringing someone else into this guard room is exactly what I want to happen in the late 6th round. I just think that the Seahawks really needed this position. And so this is going to be a big injection of talent there. Next up, we're at round 6, pick 192. This is DJ James. This is a big faller. I mean, if you believe Chris Sims, which I'm not really a big proponent, but I think he has some interesting takes. But DJ James was one of his top 3 corners. I think DJ James is going to be a good scheme fit. And at this point in the draft, the value is really good. Again, now we have to start questioning the need because do the Seahawks really need another corner? The quick answer is no. But I do think this is good value. Round 6, I like getting DJ James in the room. So good value pick right there. The fit's not so great, but again, the Hawks might be moving some pieces in their corner room, so we'll see where that goes. And then with the last pick that the Hawks had, Mike Jerell. This is someone out of Findlay, which is a school. It's a D2 school, so I never heard of it, of course. He is just an athletic guy. This is pretty much just drafting a tackle off of his combine scores. I don't think he went to the combine, but off his pro day scores, because he is a very good athlete, right? He's over 300 pounds and he ran a sub 5 second 40-yard dash, which is phenomenal. That's really impressive. This is late 6th round. Again, I love the process of going for offensive linemen. And I think as we transition to my overall thoughts on this draft class, I really like the emphasis on the trenches, right? The Seahawks got 3 offensive linemen, which they desperately needed. And they also got Byron Murphy to help bring some of his impact into the Seahawks front. So I do think that especially in the trenches, the Seahawks got a lot better. And they really addressed all of the positions that I wanted them to. I think safety would probably be the only one where I was like, maybe we could have added someone in the safety room. But all in all, this is a pretty easy A for me. Getting Byron Murphy and Christian Haynes, those two are the biggest. I mean, they're the top draft picks, so they're the biggest impact. I really like those picks. So for me, this is an easy A. I think the Seahawks hit it out of the park, and I'm really excited to see what these guys can do in 2024.